Relationship management, dealing with conflicts. Each person is unique. We all have different mental, emotional, social, cultural, and economic construct that defines our point of view and opinions. When two different people interact, sometimes their differences can be turned into arguments. People take different stand to arguments. Some may get offensive, some defensive, some take a neutral approach, or some people try to even avoid them. So they walk away from it. Arguments and differences can be turned into fights, turned into short-term or long-term, non-cooperative, adversarial, or avoidance between people. It's not easy to understand and to be understood when we have different point of views and confirmation biases and narrow opinions. Misunderstandings are likely to happen, and that can lead to a lot of conflicts in relationships. So when you possess great emotional intelligence skills, you learn to deal better with people who are very different from you. Also, being emotionally intelligent has a great advantage in resolving conflicts. You can be a mediator at times to diffuse uncomfortable situations. There is nothing good or bad about conflicts in general. It simply means a difference of opinion or interest. Whenever you are in conflict with someone, you're actually not in conflict with that personality. You're only in conflict with their opinions, preferences, choices, priorities, interests, or conflicts of value, conflicts of ideology, etc. Sometimes it will be surprising to know that you may not even have any differences, but you are in conflict because of miscommunication. Poor communication can lead to conflicts very easily. It could be perceiving differences as a threat and hence resort to conflicts because our first reaction to any situation is generally emotional. We tend to apply the logic later, but initially it's always emotional. We are emotional creatures who tend to rationalize and justify our emotions. Therefore, dealing with emotion is a key step here in resolving conflicts. You need to separate emotion from information. But in times of conflicts, our emotional reactions can take over and control the process. That's not good. But if you have high EQ skills, you can go beyond the fight or flight responses to a more mature response that can provide amicable solutions. By using the four components of emotional intelligence, that is self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management, you can resolve conflicts and manage differences effectively. For instance, you can use your self-awareness to understand the situation you are in. And instead of operating from a reactive mental state, you can operate from a more resourceful mental state. When strong negative emotions are triggered, we tend to get into a reactive state because we feel we are attacked. We may experience a neural hijack, as psychologists love to call it. And getting into this state can make things even worse. When your triggers are pulled, you may unconsciously shift into something that can be described as being upset, stressed out, deeply or offended, feeling fearful, very hurt inside, angry and agitated at the core, feeling hostile, resentful, indignant, or totally shut down. But high EQ people use their self-awareness to neutralize their internal automatic reactions. See, between stimuli and response, there is a pause. High EQ people use that pause so that they don't act automatically. They don't react automatically. They think before they act. They proceed with caution, keeping their reactions in check. When there is a conflict, high EQ people become resourceful instead of just being reactive all the time. They visualize the outcome and they explore possible strategies to achieve the outcome they want. They look at options and make choices on what to do and what not to do. They access their cognitive skills and techniques for leading a discussion toward a win-win agreement. When you are in a resourceful state, It's easy to work with a very difficult person. But when you go into an unresourceful state or a reactive state, the difficult person instantly becomes far more difficult to handle. If you have a good degree of self-awareness, then self-management also becomes easier. Self-management helps you to be on top of the situation, and you can manage your emotions easily. When there is a conflict, you choose your words carefully. You keep your tongue in check. Also, you will be put on a state where you silence your inner voice and direct your attention to the person while he or she is speaking. This will avoid rebuttals and comebacks. Your focus is not on winning the argument here. You are here to resolve it. Ultimately, to be successful at conflict management, you have to have a high degree of self-management skills. Your EQ skill of social awareness will help you to perceive what others are feeling. So instead of making assumptions or resorting to blame and personal attacks on others, you get into or you tune into other people. You get to understand what other person is feeling, where their anger is coming from, where their hurt is residing in. You analyze their background, and instead of judging them, you understand them. You look for positive intentions behind their bad behavior. So instead of reacting negatively to bad behavior, you could seek and to respond to that person's positive intentions, and you can lead them toward a behavior that better expresses those intentions clearly. Social awareness is also your ability to listen reflectively. In reflective listening, you consciously focus on the other person, their intentions, their perceptions, their point of views. You get into the shoes of the other person. So far, you got self-awareness and self-regulation, which is more about managing yourself in any situation. You also go to understand social awareness to understand the situation from other people's perspective. Now you need to apply the relationship management skills to effectively diffuse any negative situations. Relationship management is your EQ skill to use your awareness of emotions to manage interactions successfully. And this includes communicating clearly, using the right choice of words, the tonality of speech, and the emotions you express, and the body language. High EQ people remain cognizant of the fact that how they interact in the present determines the quality of the relationship in the future. So giving this broader perspective during conflicts helps them to focus on self-awareness, self-management, and social awareness, resisting the impulse to react negatively to the other person and thereby sabotage the relationship with them. Overall, managing conflict takes skilled communication, negotiation, persuasion, and sometimes mediation. Now, there are a few tips for resolving conflicts, and a lot of resolution can be achieved if we can change the way we look at conflicts and the differences on the first place. So here I wanted to add 2 tips that can help you in resolving conflicts with anyone. Tip number 1, focus on what is right and not who is right. You need to focus on the problem and not the people. For this, you need to separate people from the problem. Don't take conflicts too personally, like it's an attack on your ego. You need to subtract emotions and look for logic and fairness, and then connect to the emotions of people. If people are sensitive and hurt, you need to acknowledge it. If situations get heated up, the chances are it can go off track, but then you need to redirect the conversation back to the topic. Attack the problem together and don't attack each other. There are many ways to reach amicable solutions if we define the problem correctly in the first place. The focus is on the problem and not on the individual. Most people don't want to own the problem. That's the big thing here. That's why they get into this blame game. So they blame the other person. This will lead to blame games and passing the buck and pointing fingers. In fact, people with lower EQ often can't tell how their behavior might lead to a problem. So the first instinct for them is to blame other people. Even though we look out for the logic in resolving conflicts, we can't ignore the emotions. Emotions play a vital role in resolving conflicts, and emotional empathy can do many wonders. You can direct your emotions to strengthen a relationship and not to destroy it. Empathy plays an important role here. Disagreements are fine as long as they are conducted with consideration and respect. When you explode with emotion and say things that are better off left unsaid, it has a lasting negative impact on the relationship. People will remember the hurtful words, remember that. And their scars can remain longer. When you approach a disagreement with emotional intelligence, it has the opposite effect. It strengthens the relationship by showing the other person that you respect him or her, even when you don't agree with her or his opinion. So instead of losing ground in a relationship because of disagreement, you can actually create a moment that solidifies the quality of your relationship going forward. It's like agreeing to disagree, understanding that we are all different people and we respect each other's differences rather than just condoning them. If the differences are fatal to a relationship, then in that case, it's better to part ways amicably. Tip number 2, lead with questions. Since confusion and misunderstandings are causes of conflicts, you can create clarity with the right questions. Remember, most conflicts arise from the confusion that comes out of vague communication statements and preferences of people poorly communicated to one another. You need to ask the right questions to understand the concerns of other people. People want to be heard. If they don't feel heard, frustration rises. Even if the other person has already gone on and on about his or her opinion, it's critical that you ask good questions about what he or she thinks and why he or she has reached those conclusions. Empathetic questions will help you understand others. Similarly, you also need to help the other person to understand your side of things. Help others understand your perspectives. Describe your discomforts, your thoughts, your ideas, and your reasons behind those thought processes. Communicate clearly so that you can arrive at agreements amicably. As Thomas Carlyle said it perfectly, the end of understanding is not to prove and find reasons, but to know and believe. How true. Therefore, resolve conflicts. If you're not part of the problem, then you're part of the solution. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So next time disagreement arises, try to see others' point of view. If others are behaving badly with poor EQ skills, don't react automatically. Think through and resolve them and take care of that crying baby. Have constructive conversations. In the last 12 chapters, we have learned a great deal about emotional intelligence. We looked at the different components of it. This awareness on cultivating emotional intelligence and understanding its application in various human relations have taught you its major significance and relevance already. Now, what you need to develop is your emotional style by gracefully accepting who you are and how you want to navigate in your social interactions with other people. What we need is a healthy style of dealing with emotions. Now, just as a person has a unique fingerprint and a unique face, each of us have a unique emotional profile. That emotional profile, if it is intelligent and smart, then we will take the life on the upward spiral. If that emotional profile is stupid and weak, it will take us to a downward spiral. Our emotional profile and our emotional resilience will determine how we handle the challenges in life. So when you possess high EQ, You can handle challenges better, find solutions, and snap out of any of those problems that weigh you down. Your EQ will determine how you're going to lead yourself and help others. High EQ will help you build and manage relationship better. You will become a people person, even if you're an introvert. You will be better at interpersonal communication, a better manager at work. You will be great at inspiring people, inspiring others, and influence other people very positively. At work, you can build bonds with co-workers, and your ability to help them change, grow, develop, and resolve conflicts will make you a better leader. Bottom line, emotional intelligence is your emotional and social skills that influence how we perceive and express ourselves, cope with challenges, and manage social relationship. It is how we make decisions, relate to other people, and live every day at work and in life in the best way possible. When you are emotional intelligent, we can build new relationships. You can strengthen them, resolve conflicts with other people, gain agreements where there are differences. You can get aligned and direct yourself and others to a common vision and goal.